Yes, everyone, what's happening? Welcome to Transfer Talk. If you're new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button because I think we're going to hit 100k over the summer, and maybe we've got a very special podcast lined up for if and when we hit that magic 100,000 subscribers. Make sure to like the video as well if you're new around here too. So this 50-50 Jadon Sancho talk. Now, before I get into this, what I will say is if you're not in the Patreon group, you need to be in the Patreon group because there's been transfer talk going on in there for probably 3 months, I would say now. And these names are starting to emerge. There's still 2 names that I haven't really seen anywhere that has been talking about them. But Sancho was one of the names that we was told that United was briefing. I'll give you that as a little freebie. Which is very interesting that there's now news that's coming out about these. But if you want to know more, want that inside track of what's going on with the ins and outs at Manchester United, you need to hit the link in the description, come and join the Patreon group. There's, last time I looked, 770 people in the Patreon group. They get loads of additional stuff, not just transfer news, there's behind the scenes vlogs, there's podcasts where you can ask questions, there's a full top little United community, and there's all sorts of shit going on in the season as well. Now let's get stuck into this one here. First one here, talking about Jadon Sancho as the main one. So David Ornstein from the BBC has been reporting, and he's saying that Sancho is among the top targets at Manchester United, as I understand it. And United would be his preferred option if he was to come back and return to the Premier League during this transfer window. Find that very interesting. I'm told that a couple of months this was looking like it would be nailed on. However, Sancho is reluctant to give up Champions League football, as you can imagine. United is the preferred destination, as it was mentioned earlier, and he could be put off by lack of Champions League football. 14 assists in the Bundesliga this season, which puts him there as top assists. He can play on the right, he can also play on the left. Since he's gone to Dortmund, he's played heavily on the right, only maybe a handful of times or less on the left-hand side. Prior to that, when he was at City, he played on the left-hand side and would chop in. One of the only players that I've seen at academy level, besides someone like Mason, that makes you hold your breath when you're watching him. He's replicated that for England, and he's replicated that both in Europe and at the top level in the Bundesliga. Like we said, he's gone on and become the top assister in the league. He's absolutely quality. Now, the talk of 100 million for him, considering what Dortmund bought him for, you'd think Dortmund go, balls man, cash in. Is he worth that much? I don't know. My honest to God feeling all the way through all of these sagas has always been, we've got our own potential world-class player in Mason Greenwood, and I would like to see him given the opportunity to become a world-class player, because you can't become a world-class player unless you've been tested. Simple as that. You can do whatever you want in the academy. You've got to do it in the first team, and you've got to get the opportunity to do that in the first team. That being said, Mason won't stay as a winger, and I do see Jadon Sancho staying as a winger. I think Mason just gets his opportunities as a winger, and would sign in a Sancho or a Bale limit those? I think it probably would. That being said, I don't expect many massive money signings from United. If you look at who we're being linked to, I think it's probably going to be 4 or 5 what I'd call cheaper options, and hopefully some players. I'd love to say Koulibaly, I'd love to say De Ligt, after what he's coming out and saying. I would love to see maybe even a Jadon Sancho, if we're going to start splashing that sort of cash around. Whether we do or not remains to be seen, but I think it's going to be a wild summer regardless. Wan-Bissaka is the next one that we've been heavily linked with. Heavily linked with. This is another name that's been in the Patreon group since I think about February. We were sort of talking this one up. And there's some very interesting caveats to the Wan-Bissaka one as well. Now, recently we heard that Manchester City was going to go head-to-head with him. And I think that if Manchester City want you to replace Walker and you've got no affiliations to United aside from, they've been interested in buying you, I'm not sure we could attract him over City at the moment. I think being given the option to be City's first choice fullback and possibly go on and compete for the Champions League and for the league again next season might override the pull of Manchester United in our present state. That being said, for me, he is the best fullback, definitely the best fullback in the league. He doesn't have a lot of attacking contributions, as some people like to say, but nor did Robertson. Robertson had 2 assists in his final season at Hull, and look what he's done this year at Liverpool. different teams have different styles of play. For me, he is the best defensive fullback in the league, and he's not a crossing fullback. He's not a hit the byline, bang one in kind of guy. He's more of a guy that will get involved in the build-up play along the side, where he will go on and do some real good work involved in one-touch, intricate little play in the final third, which is what I think probably suits our side a little bit better than get to the byline and just bang one in willy-nilly. Because that's what Ashley Young does. TalkSport and The Sun both reporting that he might be joining Manchester United, and also mentioned that we could be going for left-back Van Aanholt as well in a double swoop, which I can't see, to be honest. Our player of the year, who just didn't get into the England squad, was Luke Shaw. I'd be very, very, very surprised if he's not considered first choice for Manchester United. There's so many other areas that require major surgery immediately, urgently, that to start trying to fuck around with left-back makes absolutely zero sense to me at all. Because, yeah, all right, I think you probably can upgrade Luke Shaw, but it's not the worst problem. It's not the biggest problem in our team at all. We're going shopping for windows and we've got no fucking roof, is what we're doing if we're doing that. Daniel James, the young lad at Swansea, being linked with a £15 million move, and I'm inclined to believe it, to be honest. His agent has come out and said that no contact has been made. But this is the sort of transfer you go, well, ain't no one writing that one up for clicks alone, are they? No one's just saying, do you know what, yeah, let's link United to some random dude from Swansea. He's very fast. That's all I've been able to ascertain from him. I don't think he's the best finisher. I'm not sure he's the best tackler. I'm not sure he's the best dribbler. But he is extremely fast. And if United are going to try and be a fast and aggressive football team, then this is the sort of transfer I want to see us make. Someone that has been scouted for a particular purpose. And I don't think that purpose is starting week in, week out, thankfully. Because if he is, I think we're in the shit because I don't think he's that good. 4 goals and 7 assists from a winger in the Championship. Replicate that in even if he got the same numbers that he got in the Championship in a Manchester United side, people would absolutely hammer him. We've seen what they hammer half of our players already anyway, so I don't think he's coming for that if he is coming. I think he's coming to slot in and be a backup to somebody. I think that would probably be the case. It's bolstering the squad just a little bit. And if that's the case, that's a sensible signing for a sensible amount of money. So I'm not asked about that one. Play on the left, you can play on the right. Job's a good one. A very interesting one could be Tielemans. Joined Leicester on loan from Monaco in January. He said he'll return to Monaco unless something comes up. I think he's been fantastic in the Premier League since he came. I was surprised that it didn't really work out for him at Monaco. And I thought that was an excellent signing for them when we saw him go there. I don't know what it is about Monaco just letting players leave on loan all the time the way they do. Sky have said that Spurs and United have both joined the race for him. I think that'd be an excellent signing for both of us, to be honest. And Leicester are also in the mix, hoping to sign him permanently. Now, he's been speaking to Belgian publication VTM News, and he said, I expect I'll return to Monaco in the summer unless something's moving. At the moment, there's nothing. If these things are going well and you want to keep it like that, I don't know what Monaco will be asking, so I can't talk about it. What's your thoughts on that one? Let me know in the comments. Anyone got anything that they think about Tielemans? Been impressed with him since he's been at Leicester? Actually, Leicester, this back half of the season, have looked absolutely quality, haven't they? Far better than us. And then the final one to talk about today is Koulibaly. This is a name that I would kill for at United. I'd literally give him the armband as he walked through the door. There you go, son, bang that on. Ornstein also says that United are a massive fan of him, but put off by the price of 130 million. That could be 100% accurate, I think. United might be like, United can't come out publicly and state interest, can they? And if they do, that keeps the price high. United probably have to start looking around. Maybe we'll buy this guy, maybe we'll buy that guy. And interestingly, there was also a supposed quote from De Ligt saying that he'd love to be part of United's rebuilding and lead United's rebuilding. That is massively interesting. I'm just not sure I buy it, to be honest. Either De Ligt or Koulibaly, if they cost in the 100 million sort of range, for me, sound. I think that's worth blowing the money on. I think we actually need to go with that. I'm going to head over to the Patreon group now for some questions and see what we are saying in there. Milan says, which 2 positions do we need a signing in urgently? Right back, centre half. We can make do, I think, with all the other positions, especially if we go with a 4-4-2 diamond, which I do think he wants to go with. Maybe that's just what he's been forced to go with the current squad. Maybe he doesn't want to go with that. But I do think that if you're going to go with that formation, a fullback and a centre-half are the first on the list. De Ligt or Koulibaly, says Clements. Either. Honestly, either. I think Koulibaly's probably better in the air. I think he's got... It's not about leadership or experience with either of these two, because weirdly, for a teenager, the leadership is there with De Ligt, and he could become a hero at United. If you've seen the videos of what he was doing at Ajax last week, and who would be a better fit with Axel and or Victor? The issue with Axel and Victor is that they're both not a blast their head through a brick wall sort of defender, and I do think that United probably do need a blast their head through a brick wall sort of defender, as well as a leader. If you can get that in one package, happy days. Tino, how painful is this transfer window going to be? Depends what you mean by painful. If you believe everything you read, that's going to get painful. If you expect them to completely fuck it up and can be pleasantly surprised when we get something mediocre in, then you're probably going to have a good time. Is there any position I don't think we need? Normally you'd say goalkeeper, wouldn't you? I'd actually maybe even still say goalkeeper, to be honest. I don't think I would be as terrified if they went, yeah, De Gea's gone and we're going to go with Romero, or we're going to go with Henderson. I'd be like, all right, I'm interested in seeing what this looks like. Let's have it. If De Gea leaves, do we... Oh, here we go. What do we get to replace him? Promote Romero to number one. Henderson, I'd take Matt Ryan personally. I'd like to see what Henderson and Romero could do, to be honest. It costs us absolutely nothing to try. Henderson's won Player of the Year both times. He's been out on loan somewhere. That's got to tell you something, that he's not playing at the level that is his ceiling at the moment, if he's getting Player of the Year in good teams as well. Not just Player of the Year in a bad team, but Player of the Year in good teams that are competing for things. So that's a good sign for me. I would like to see him given the opportunity. Ryan, is the fact that we've been linked with players like Longstaff an indication of how far we've fallen? I think it is, and Andy Rogers got a similar one. Thoughts on a Longstaff link? Not a bad player for Newcastle, never a United player. I think he's played 8 games in the Premier League this year. From memory, I've seen him in 1 or 2 of those, and he's been decent. Not one that I've gone, oh shit, someone needs to blow a right load of cash on him. But again, he might have a very specific role that someone's thought of him for, and because he's not a superstar signing, because he's not a FIFA signing, maybe that's the right kind of signing. I've been saying all summer, and it's almost becoming a cliche, if the right guy is a 32-year-old on a free from a championship team, then that's the right guy. So until it's not the right guy, I'm happy to be open-minded on signings like Longstaff and Daniel James, although I do think I'll start calling Daniel James Daniel James, just to sex it up a little bit. Matt Jarvis says, is Chong on his way out, or is he just not up to the standard everyone thought he would reach because recently you've not been as positive about him? I don't think he's as good as the others coming through. I think he's got a very direct style of play, which can have its uses, and it might actually be perfect for what Ollie wants, but I don't think he's anywhere near the level of Angel. I don't think he's anywhere near the level of Mason. I don't think he's anywhere near the level of even Laird, Levitt, Garner. I think he's a good player, but you need more than being a good player to make it at United. I actually can't believe he's won 2 Player of the Year awards in about 25 league games, which is mental, isn't it? That's 25 over both years, so like 12 and 13, not 25 in one season. Connor, do I think it's best for us to sign younger players with potential, like James and Longstaff, or to buy in big names such as Dybala and Fernandes? Depends on the player, doesn't it? Because if there was a Zlatan, Cantona-esque kind of signing that was going to come and help these lads, maybe that's a Koulibaly kind of figure that can be a leader in there, then the impact of that player it's hard to measure. And with a youngster with potential, you could not reach the potential too. People forget that. You can buy a player with all the potential in the world, but sometimes you don't reach that potential. Milan, out of the 2,345 players we've been linked with so far, how many will we actually get? I think it massively depends on the outs, because I can genuinely envisage us losing Lukaku, Herrera, Mata, Pogba, De Gea, maybe one of the Chuckle brothers. And if you lose them, Sanchez, Marshall, you wouldn't be shocked at any of them names going, would you? And that's like 8-9 players. If you lose those players, they do need replacing. You can't just bring in a couple of squad players, and I'm not sure it's ready for any of the youngsters to immediately step up and take those places. So I don't know what you do there, and I don't believe in the competency of this board to deliver us 10 signings in 1 week. Can you imagine 10 signings? We got fucking 3 backups last year. There's no way they're going to deliver 10 ready for the first team, good to go this year. Not having that. Tem says, what do I think of the argument people make that getting Wan-Bissaka will stunt the development of Delo? I don't rate Delo, so I don't care. Hugo says, should we be looking to sign someone who's a leader or even someone who's a bit of a nutcase? Who could that even be? Koulibaly, both of those. He is both of those guys. Matt says, do I think we're likely to see the same nonsensical shirt-selling Woody Woodward, the woodpecker wanker adores, or all the young players that we've been linked to an indicator of our summer plans, mostly young signings, players like James and Longcast, not your typical United rumours? I think there's something in them. I think there's definitely something in those, but I would also say I think there's probably, with all of these, something else going to happen. So I think that there's a chance. I'm not saying this has happened. I'm thinking this is the sort of thing that could happen. If we pull off a Longstaff, a James, even a Wan-Bissaka, maybe somebody else a bit less obvious, like a Johnny Evans style centre-half signing perhaps, I think Woodward's going to need... If you lose Pogba in a window, you need to replace that sparkle from a business perspective. I think Woodward thinks like that, even though you don't really. You just need players that can play football, and you make superstars out of the best footballers. It's as simple as that. You don't need to buy superstars. Fucking make them. Mason could be a superstar. Simple as. Angel could be a superstar. I think Woodward would want a Bale. And if they don't want him at Madrid, you might get him really cheap or even on loan, which you can't really argue with. And I don't think he stunts the development of Mason Greenwood. I think he actually helps him to learn off him, because I don't think he's only fit for 20, 25 games, 30 games a season, which means someone else gets to play the rest of them. And that's a good way to blend a young player in my opinion. Is this the window we finally signed Wes Schneider? Didn't he retire? So yeah, maybe. Ant says, any plans to incorporate Tony O'Neill into future match reviews he makes for compelling viewing? Maybe. Probably not match reviews, but I definitely need to talk to Tony about his time as let's be honest, as a hooligan. And what that involved and the reasons for. And that, I mean, he's written 2 books about it. I've read one of them, and it was good reading. The other one I haven't read, which is Men in Black. The first one's called Red Army General. The second one is called Men in Black. So check those out, I guess. The first one, like I said, was very good, and I've heard good reviews about the second one, but I haven't read it myself. I will have him on more to talk about some other stuff. We probably should have introduced him first before we did the video we did last week. But yes, they'd probably be on again. Once my headache goes. Ahmed says, I'm really curious about the players we're going to sign this summer. Based on the meetings yesterday, Ed pretty much echoed what Ollie said, that we will sign players this summer. I think it'll be 250 mil for 4 or 5 players, because you can't really lie to the shareholders, so let's assume it will be 5. Would you be happy with Wan-Bissaka, Koulibaly, Pepe, Fernandes and Partey? Fucking right, I'd be happy with those 5. It's then what goes on top of that, innit? And maybe that's why we're looking at some 8, 9, 10, 15 million pound signings as well. Connor says, do I think it'd be a better summer if we got names like De Ligt and Sancho, or if we went for the more unknowns like Longstaff? Definitely better if we got De Ligt and Sancho than Longstaff. Come on, man. It depends, doesn't it? Because you can bring in, I don't know, your Falcao, your Di Maria, your Schweinsteiger, your Zlatan, your Pogba, and it can all go tits up. Or you can bring in players that you go, with fucking LZ, and it turns out to be absolutely quality. At the end of the day, we just need a better football team. You don't need to go and sign Koulibaly and De Ligt to have a better centre-half. There's better centre-halves than Phil Jones and Chris Smalling. There's better right-backs than Ashley Young. There's probably about 17 better right-backs than Ashley Young in the Premier League. Any word on Mata or Andreas? Both contracts are upright. I think... I don't know if they're final year or in their extension year, or about to hit their extension year. I don't know on both of those. Opinion on Nicolas Pepe, would he fit into the current team? He's got a lot of goals and a lot of assists. I don't really know if he fits into this current team, to be honest with you. He seems like a serious sort of guy that we should be going for, though, to be honest. Sean, is there some serious hope for us after what Woodward has told the shareholders, that they're going to use a lot of the generated money and put back into the club this summer? Let's see it first. Ali says, do I expect there to be serious anger from the fans if we don't deliver in the transfer window? We've already heard some chants aimed at the board during the final game of the season. Yes, I think that a lot of the Unfollow United stuff was sparked up by people worried about a bad summer, and if we do get a bad summer, then I honestly could see us struggling to compete with the likes of Wolves and Leicester. If we lose a lot of those big name signings and we do nothing to replace them, we are in the shit. If we could only sign a right back or a centre half, which one would it be? I think a centre half, because I think you can attack more. If you had a top world-class centre half, you can attack more. And I do really believe in the likes of Ethan Laird. Don't think he's ready yet. He might be ready by the end of the end of next season. But I think we've got a load of good players there that we could do some stuff with. Do I think Leo, Connor, Demi Mitchell and Ethan Laird are good enough that we could ship out all our current fullbacks, not called Luke Shaw, and be okay with a single right back? Are they good enough to be able to deliver proper backup minutes next season? Unsure on Demi. Very good in the final third, but he is a converted number 10, so you expect that. Don't think he's quite ready yet as a defensive defender. Ethan, I think, is a 5-star potential player, and I would love to see him given opportunities. And Leo Connor reminds me very much of Gary Neville. So I think there's definitely talent in there, but it might be too much putting all three of them in at once. Yeah, I think probably too much all at once. Jezza says, if De Gea leaves, is it necessary to replace him? No, I don't think so. Anything new regarding Wan-Bissaka? Only that City are in for him as well, and he's probably going to have a decision to make. Donald O'Murphy, thoughts on Dembele from Lyon as an option up front, especially if Lukaku leaves? Yes, I do like the idea. Thoughts on Partey? I haven't really seen enough of Partey. Release clause of 50 million, could be great business, yep. Would you also pay the money needed to get Saul? Haven't they said 130 million for Saul, though? So probably not, because I think we are going to be working to a budget big time this year. Ross Jones, with the amount of players we seem to be linked with, especially the top names like Koulibaly, Dybala, De Ligt, Sancho, etc., there is a chance we will need to sell a big name to recoup some to afford the 5 or 6 we're going for. If I had the choice, would I rather sell Pogba or De Gea to balance the net spend? Probably Pogba, because I think he's got longer, on his contract, and I think you get more for Pogba now than you would for De Gea. Even though I don't think his ability suits all his style of play, should we keep Mata as a squad player, or is it time to ship him out? There's an argument to said to keep him around. It depends how often he's going to play. If Daniel James arrives from Swansea, do I think he'll be the only winger arriving? I'd say no. I hope not. Mighty Mike, how hard is it to get a player like Neves or Ndidi? You wouldn't think hard for United, would you? You really wouldn't think hard. The problem is that now when you go to a Premier League team, they ask for money the same level as a top 6 does, because everybody gets paid in the Premier League now because of the TV rights. So they're like, I don't want to sell him, so it's going to cost you 90 million. And you go, fucking, what? 90 million? And they go, I don't have to sell him. And you're like, yeah, okay, fair enough. How many leaders do we need to sign this summer? I'm thinking a good 3 or 4. I think 1 or 2 would make a huge difference. How many Penguins do we sign this summer? Probably more than we need. Which player do I take from the Ajax team? Which player don't I take from the Ajax team? That Daley Blind, he looks alright, doesn't he? Wonder how he's doing in the Premier League. Ignoring price or likelihood, do I think that the Rodri, Neves type of player or the Partey Ndidi to replace Matic? Yeah. Are you saying the Rodri, Neves or Partey Ndidi? I think Ollie goes with the Neves type to hold possession more, I think. Is Pogba being in the new picks a sign Ollie wants him to stay, or just contractual commitments? This shit's usually done about 6 months ago for the players, and the people that put the photographs out don't have a fucking Scooby-Doo what's happening in terms of transfers. Pogba was on the header of Juventus in the new kit, I think he was in the away kit when United signed him, so I don't think it means anything. Decryption, we used to take players from Tottenham. Do you think that we still could now? Has it become harder to make these kind of signings? Again, Alderweireld, 25 million, allegedly, in this release clause. That's a fucking free transfer in today's money. How that's not been done already, I don't know, because that's perfect for us. Tielemans and Fernandes are almost the same price, 35 million release for Fernandes. Would you prefer Prem-proven Tielemans or worse, or better in a worse league like Fernandes? I'd take either of those. Like the De Ligt Koulibaly situation, they improve us, sorted. Simple as that. Make sure to like the video, everybody. Everybody, make sure to like it. Would I send Chong out on loan? If yes, where? I'd say Germany. I'd send everybody Germany at the moment, and I'm going to try and do some trips. How can I not rate Delo? Sometimes you say the most retarded shit. I'll tell you why. Because his defending's fucking terrible. How about that for a reason? He's got a good cross. Absolutely got a good cross. But there's more to being a defender than just crossing. He's got really, really, really ordinary defensive positioning. When he played on the left, he was awful. When he played on the right, he was pretty bad. And I think you can massively upgrade on him. That's why I wouldn't be asked about it. He was signed for the crossing ability by Jose Mourinho. If we're not going to be a team that crosses and we're going to be a team that plays it on the floor a bit better, why would you fucking keep him? Because he's not exactly Paolo Maldini. Who cares? Get Kane in, 150 million would be enough. We don't make enough chances for Kane to score. Kane takes so many chances to score. We don't make those. Simples as that. Right, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. Check out the link below for Patreon. Even if you just want to find out what the fuck it's all about, the link is in the description below to come and check us out. We might be returning with a Thursday Club next week. Not been decided for definite just yet, but thank you guys for watching anyway. I'll see you in the next one.